Hello everyone, this is Morva Lyra, she who bears the right of Primusquitae, bringing you an update video for Better Than Wolves version 4.11. Now that has been a little bit of a while since version 3.91, which is the last update video that's been available. This is because Flower Child, he who creates Better Than Wolves, has been a busy bee, and ever since Minecraft released 1.3.2, he has been just churning out updates at a rate that I or other video makers can't quite keep up with. There have been a lot of new features that have been released since August 1st, and many of them highly anticipated features for the mod. With that though, let's just get right to it. Now, of the many big features that have been put into Better Than Wolves, there's been a set of them that's been kind of known as the hardcore set. Whenever Flower Child labels something as hardcore within Better Than Wolves, it means he's significantly reworked something in the way vanilla works. People who are used to vanilla and only vanilla, they're not going to have things work the way they expect them to, and may have to relearn a little bit. The first of these that he introduced was hardcore sheep. Now, there's kind of two parts to hardcore sheep, and it all has to do with the color that sheep are, really. Now, if I were to go into my creative menu here, and I think it's under materials, yes, rose dye, and if I were to color a couple of these sheep red, normally what would happen is if I were to breed these sheep in vanilla, their children would be red. If I were to shear them, their wool would grow back red. This is no longer the case in Better Than Wolves. Tools, give me some shears. There we go. In Better Than Wolves, all sheep have an original color. This is the color that the sheep was born with. So if I shear that sheep, yes, I'll get that red wool. But if we can wait a few moments here, he'll regrow his wool as white because that was his original color. Also, breeding for children, that has to do with original color as well. If I have a white sheep that I dyed red and a white sheep that I dyed blue, their children wouldn't be red or blue. Their children would be white. There is a little bit of a mutation factor in there, so occasionally you can get something slightly different, like a white sheep and a white sheep might give you a gray sheep. But the full table of mutations and changes just hasn't been explored yet, so we don't really know how to get all the colors. Flower Child assures us that it is possible to get all of the colors of sheep by breeding, but it would be a long and arduous task. Best to go out, explore, and if you find any special colored sheep out in the world, hold on to them. Now, the next of the hardcore features is known as hardcore chickens. There have been a few important changes to chickens. One of the major ones has to, again, do with their breeding. They don't breed when you feed them wheat. They're no longer suddenly mammals and will just make a baby. That doesn't happen anymore. The only way to get a baby chicken is by cracking the eggs against the wall or the floor or wherever you happen to throw them. But chickens now will only lay eggs after they've been fed seeds. So you'll have to feed them seeds and just kind of wait that normal timer. That's why you don't see eggs all over the place here. I haven't fed these chickens. I've been a very neglectful chicken keeper. But I'd also like to point out that the idea of needing to feed chickens seeds instead of wheat was something that got put in with version 3.95 of Better Than Wolves. The hardcore chickens in general happened at that update. This was more than 2 weeks before the current snapshot 12W36A came out, where the breeding for chickens comes from seeds instead of wheat. Obviously, if Flower Child and Mojang thinks that something's a good idea, it's probably a good idea. I just wanted to brag a little bit. But about hardcore chickens itself, so you feed them the seeds, you get the eggs, and then you crack those eggs against the floor to get new chickens. But the drop rate for baby chickens out of eggs hasn't increased at all. It's the same as it was. If you don't get a chicken from one of those eggs, though, you will get a new item called a raw egg. Makes sense. No chicken, raw eggs. Raw eggs can be turned into poached or fried eggs, depending on whether you cook them in a stewing pot or furnace. This effectively replaces hard-boiled eggs, which have been removed from Better Than Wolves. Also to keep in mind, raw eggs have some use. We don't know what that use is yet, but Flower Child has said that they will have a use. And that brings us to the next major feature. The next major feature that is hardcore is known as hardcore grinding. Yes, I'll give you a moment for the joke that just came to mind. Okay, that's a good one. Moving on. Hardcore grinding means that several of the recipes that you find out in the world for, say, bone meal, flour with Better Than Wolves, it's all going to require a millstone now. No longer can you put a piece of bone in your crafting grid. Yeah, you can't go to a crafting table like that, put a piece of bone there. See? It doesn't give me any bone meal. No bone meal. What you have to do is you're going to have to stick it in a millstone. Also, it removes the recipe for bread from Minecraft. It also removes the recipe for cake that uses wheat. So now to make bread, you're going to have to grind your wheat, and to make cake, you'll also have to grind wheat into flour. Also, you can't turn sugar cane into sugar in the crafting grid anymore. It all has to go through the millstone, which then leads to another humorously titled feature, because, well, if you start with hardcore grinding, you then go to hardcore bone. I'll wait for the other inappropriate joke that just came to mind. There you go. All right, hardcore bone affects the way bone meal works. Let me go into the creative menu here. If I can spell. Bone meal. Here's a piece of bone meal. Bone meal has had its abilities tweaked. It used to be that bone meal in vanilla Minecraft just made anything instantly grow. But as you can see, I'm clicking on grass. No flowers are growing. And the same thing would be true with trees, wheat. What's happened is Flower Child has removed the ability, the instant grow ability of bone meal, and instead has replaced it with a fertilizer effect. This just means that plants will grow faster if you place bone meal on the ground where they're growing. That goes for saplings, that goes for wheat, that goes for hemp. It might go for sugarcane, but I have not checked yet, so don't take it as gospel on that one. Similarly, your nether plants that Better Than Wolves has added, bloodwood trees, nether growth, nether wart, even the vanilla Minecraft plant, soul urns will have a similar effect on soul sand for those items. This to me is a good thing because it's really much more intuitive. Yes, there's a whole lot less instant gratification, but it makes sense just from a point of view of what fertilizer is supposed to be. If you've ever had any experience with fertilizer in real life, this just makes sense. Now we probably come to the most important hardcore mode of all right now, and that is hardcore buckets. Hardcore buckets is a version of the mod that has been around for quite some time now. It originally became part of Better Than Wolves in the 3.49 range, somewhere in there as far as BTW version numbers go. But now it's had some upgrades to it, and it is now the default mode for Better Than Wolves, starting with Better Than Wolves 4.11, which is the most current number of this as of this recording. It will be on by default. You can turn it off, but I recommend you leave it on because it leaves some interesting challenges. What Hardcore Bucket does is that any water or lava source block picked up with a bucket cannot be placed elsewhere. That's right, you cannot manually move and place water and lava source blocks. However, with this might sound horrible with the amount that Better Than Wolves utilizes water flows for transport, but there is hope, and I've been staring at it for the last minute or so. This is a new block. This is known as the screw pump. The screw pump, basically what it does is if you place it adjacent to a water source here, which these are old water sources I had on this map from previous update videos, and you give it mechanical power, it will push water up one source block. Well, that's not a real source block. That's like the block next to a source block if you place a source block in vanilla. But it will go and it will flow forward, and you could put another source block, another screw pump, excuse me, right there, and move it up, and move it up, and eventually create these elaborate aqueducts to move the water around. It's a fairly advanced recipe. It will require that you have steel in your world because you will need to make parts of it on an anvil. The recipe is in the BTW wiki, also on the original post of the forum thread on the Minecraft forums for Better Than Wolves. Let me just get a little bit of redstone here. Just a lever and a piece of redstone here. And show you what happens when it doesn't receive mechanical power. So we give redstone to the gearbox, turns the mechanical power off, and it's not there. But if we return mechanical power, see, it's starting. And there we have a water flow. Isn't it lovely? Also, recently with vanilla Minecraft, the regular vanilla dispenser has the ability, either in 1.3 or coming in 1.4, I can't quite remember off the top of my head, to place water and lava source blocks if you put water or lava buckets in there. Flower Childs thought of that as well, so with hardcore buckets becoming normal, default, I should say. I've got this little setup. If we just give that power, there goes the water bucket. Yeah, it will not place source blocks of water and lava. So no getting around that either. Also, I believe if you break ice, it would be like trying to place a source block of water. The water just goes away. Though to make it a little bit easier, since we're water source blocks are going to be precious things now to us. You can fill bottles, like in bottles for enchanting, not enchanting, excuse me, brewing. You can fill them in non-water source blocks. So let's just find a glass bottle. There we go. Fill one of those. And just take it over here. We'll take it over to the screw pump here, where none of this is a water source block, and just go, bunk, water bottle. Hooray! And I think that wraps it up for the changes with hardcore buckets that you'll need to be aware of. There's still one more hardcore mode, but I'm going to move on for now because that one sort of ties into something else. I'll get to it in a minute. All right, moving on. As you can see from the display put out before me, we have some exciting new less than full blocks. I mean, we've always had the sidings and the moldings and the corners, which have always been great for decoration. But now we have them available in all the different colors of wood. In my texture pack, the top there's oak, which is the old default wood. We've got pine, we've got birch, and we have jungle wood. These smaller than full blocks also come in stone brick now, as well as plain stone, which we had plain stone before, but now we have stone brick. We also have some a new block, which are dirt slabs. Let's see here. Which are really just a half slab for dirt. They can grow grass on top of them. They can be piled into a full block and really make for some lovely landscaping possibilities. There's also a slew of new high-efficiency recipes using the moldings and the sidings. They can make anything from redstone repeaters using stone. You can use them to make pressure plates, pulleys, sticks, all sorts of new high-efficiency recipes. I'll leave that for you to discover through the wiki or your own experimental means. You can also take wool slabs, which I do believe are down. Oh no, they're down here. That's where they are. You can take 2 of them of the same color, run down to the crafting bench over here. And as long as they're the same color, you can put them side by side and combine them back into a full wool block. There's also been a lot of adjustment in placement for moldings and corners and all that good stuff. Let's see here. Let's go with some moldings here. It's really similar to the new placement code for stairs in vanilla Minecraft or half slabs. It's just much more intuitive, but the moldings have an extra special trick. You could always combine them down in a line like that before, but they now, if you place them together in this way, they will connect. So as of before, where this little section right here wouldn't have been there before, it's now there and is now a solid object in there. So rejoice. See, aim it there, or I can aim it there and have it connect there. I can also aim it there, and just all sorts of decorating possibilities, all sorts of other interesting things that can be done with them, so on and so forth. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. There is also a litany of other smaller features that have been added, the largest of which is kibble. Kibble is a new food source for animals. You cannot eat it yourself, but kibble is made by putting zombie flesh, bone meal, and sugar in a stewing pot. Let's see if I've made any kibble over here. I have not yet. I will need more zombie flesh than that. So, to the creative menu. As other YouTubers have said, I cheat so that you can learn. Not zombie flesh, rotten flesh. That's what it's called. We'll have a stack of that. We'll have some bone meal. More bone meal, I should say. And some sugar. Now keep in mind that bone meal and sugar will be require the hardcore grinding that we talked about earlier to work. To acquire, I should say. Now, kibble is probably going to become your main food for dogs, and it's intended as such. See, kibble. While your dogs will still eat a raw meat of any variety, they will no longer eat zombie flesh. A popular thing to do before these updates was to just make a mob trap farm, preferably around a zombie spawner, and just take the rotten flesh from that to feed your dogs. That won't work anymore. You'll either have to give them raw pork or raw beef or raw chicken or kibble. Now, pigs also will eat kibble in order to breed, but they won't follow it like wheat. But they will eat it for breeding. Other important changes to note are that is a rather large slime. Just a moment while I deal with this. Dead slime. All right. Is that the timing for turntables and bellows has changed. In order to properly stoke your fire, you of course need to have your bellows on the right timing. That correct timing, if you're using a turntable, will be on the 3rd setting of the turntable. And that is slow enough that you will need to have 2 torches on either opposite sides of the block on top of your turntable. Now, I know a lot of folks had faster timers going, so if you just log into your BTW world after updating and go, why isn't my bellows working? This is probably why. Also, we come to the probably the largest and most impressive feature that has been added by BTW recently here. With the advent of BTW 4.0, I'm going to start building my display worlds for update videos in an SMP world. That's right, Better Than Wolves is now compatible with multiplayer. Yay! This is probably one of the most anticipated features, and really many of us who have been following the mod for a long time have been waiting for this since the mod began, really, more than a year. It's been a long wait, but it's here now, and we are ever so happy for it. That brings me to the last hardcore feature that has been added, and that is hardcore chests. Yes, I know it sounds like it should go with hardcore grinding and hardcore bone, or cause them. I don't really want to speculate more. But hardcore chests work specifically with ender chests and is really only applicable to an SMP setting. I can't display it very well, but I'll do what I can. So with the ender chest, obviously, if I put something in this ender chest, it will be in this ender chest as well, ready for me to take out at any time. Recently, Mojang made it so that these ender chest inventories on multiplayer are linked to the player. That means even on a multiplayer server, if I put something in my ender chest, I can get it out of any other ender chest and nobody else can see it. But Better Than Wolves on multiplayer is very much geared towards anarchy play. There ought to be some sort of inherent risk in putting your items in a magical teleportation inventory. It's too overpowered for anarchy to have ender chests be that way. Hardcore chests changes the ender chest so that when you place something inside of it, it is visible to anyone with an ender chest. So, you can conceivably transport things over long distances, whether you're trading with a partner or you're just trying to keep something. You don't want to have to haul it with you when you go, but you do run that risk that anybody else can see it and go, yoink, mine now. And that is what hardcore chests is. Alright guys, the changes that I've discussed here are far from the only things that have been added to Better Than Wolves in the last several updates, but they are certainly the most important and the most visible. I very highly recommend that you go in and you try things for yourself. The full changelog of each update since 3.91 is listed on the Better Than Wolves wiki, which I will link in the description. That is the majority of the big stuff. I hope to see you guys in my LP. I hope to help you understand more of what's going on and that you've enjoyed this video. Other than that, more of Elira out.